We're going to be drawing a room in 1-point perspective, and you can see two examples here of how the same type of perspective drawing can be modified in multiple different ways, and you're going to have a lot of freedom to be creative in where you put things and what you put where and how you construct your space. We're going to have at least we're going to have a window on one side, and we're going to have a stairwell on another. We're going to have a floor, and we'll have a back wall, and whatever you place on the floor can vary. That can be up to you. In drawing a room in 1-point perspective, you should start with the back wall. Now, the horizon line will only be visible in this drawing if you have your window open, and then in that case, you'll continue the horizon line out. But the back wall needs to determine where the vanishing point is going to be, so that is how we're going to start. So the very first step is going to be drawing this rectangle. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my ruler to connect the corners of the wall, and these are going to go out. You see them going all the way out and down on both sides. So that's step one. Back wall, connect. Where these two lines intersect is going to be your vanishing point. So basically, a rectangle and then draw an X through it. Whenever I drew my back wall, you can see that it's relatively small in the space of the whole drawing because there's not a whole lot of information that's going to be on that back wall depending on what you're drawing. Most of the information, we need to leave a lot of room for the floor, the walls, and the ceiling because we're going to put some information there. So I made sure that I have enough space on here. So in order to do that, like I said, just make your rectangle small, relatively small in the paper. And you continue those lines out. You also saw me erase the lines to the vanishing point that were on the back wall. You may not be able to see this as a room just yet. But placing those architectural elements will help you see that. So on the left side, we're going to start by placing a window. Put your finger or your pencil on the vanishing point, make the ruler touch, and pivot your ruler up until however tall you want your window to be. Let's make a pretty large window here. I'm going to make it go above and below the horizon line. It doesn't have to come all the way to this side wall. Pencil back on the vanishing point. Ruler is touching, and pivot that ruler around to drawing the bottom. What we're drawing over here as the window is just a trapezoid. You can see that the outside of the shape, it just makes a trapezoid. But we're using the top and the bottom lines. They must go to the vanishing point. We need to add a vertical line on the inside that's closest to the back wall. And then another vertical line that's closer to us or appears to be closer to us in the drawing, and draw that line. So this is the left side of the window, that's the right side of the window, and this follows that principle of objects appearing smaller as they get further away from us. If we were facing the middle and front of this window, we would clearly see that those sides are the same, but perspective shows us how you would see things in space. So you can erase your cleanup lines. Now, in a previous tutorial, I showed you how to draw the thickness of a window, and we're going to start by adding just a rectangle on the inside here. So I'm going to draw that. In order to do it, these two dots, the right side of the trapezoid, I want you to put a dot on the top and bottom of that line. These dots need horizontal lines out. However wide you make this horizontal line matters not. It just determines how thick the window is. And in your home, you would probably want the thickness of your walls to be quite thick. You don't want them to be paper thin. So then you connect to make this a rectangle. This is just a rectangle. The top and bottom should be parallel to each other, and the sides should be parallel to each other in 1-point perspective. Now we need to put dots on the left side of this rectangle. Only 2 more lines to complete the thickness of this window. I need a line going here. Since the top of the window is above my horizon line, then I'm going to be able to see the top of that window. So let's say this in space. See the top above us, we're going to be able to see the top of that thickness. Now, since the bottom is also going to be below the horizon line or below the vanishing point, we're also going to be able to see the bottom of that window. Okay, so pencil on the vanishing point, make your ruler touch, pivot the ruler until it touches this bottom dot, and then draw a line only on the inside of that first trapezoid that we drew. It's going to stop there because now the front of the wall is blocking our view. Pencil back on the vanishing point, pivot that ruler up until it touches the top. Draw your line only to the inside of that trapezoid. And now we have completed our window. This would act as our window seal. So you can maybe put a plant in here. We'll add details and stuff later on. Now that this window is open, we've kind of punched that out of the wall, we can now place our horizon line. So pencil back on the vanishing point, make your ruler touch, and this should be parallel to all other rectangular or horizontal lines that are in your drawing, okay? And it's across just like that. Now it's flat here, but let's say if there was a hill, we could modify the shape of the horizon line out there too. That could be added in the details as well. So we have completed our window. Let's go over here and let's draw a stairwell. So I'm going to keep it quite simple. I'm going to make kind of a hallway with a very short 2 steps. Just keep it simple to highlight that. And what we're going to start with is the same way we started the window. We're going to make a trapezoid, except this time the bottom is connecting on the floor, and that line, as you can see, is already drawn. So in order to cut it out, we only need to draw 1, 2, 3 lines. These are vertical, and this line needs to connect to the vanishing point. So how tall do you want this doorway? Let's make it quite tall. Vertical line straight up. You don't even have to pick your pencil up for the duration of drawing this. Connect to the vanishing point and draw your line out, and then rotate that line down to draw the left side of your door. So we've got the doorway now. We're going to make a horizontal line for the ceiling because we could see that. If not, it would maybe have the illusion of it being, you know, ramped up. So connect that with a horizontal. We'll come back in with some shading to give that some dimension. Now you're going to go to this bottom here, and you can decide if you want your stairs to go in, start by going into the hallway and then up, like you see here. So there's a little bit of floor visible on the inside of this door frame. You wouldn't necessarily want to start your first step up. So what we're going to do is use our ruler to make nice straight lines. And remember that the worst thing that you can do is create a zigzag line like this in your drawing. So here's our doorway. What you would not want to do is create a horrible zigzag like that. Those are the death stairs that I refer to that as death stairs. So we want to make really nice, even, equidistant lines. So use your ruler, please. Use your ruler. So we're going to go in, and I only want a couple stairs. So in, up, however tall you want that step to be, not super tall, over, up again, and then all the way over. So we've created, and make it touch this line. 2 steps. 1, 2. On the outsides of our zigzags, the points, this right angle zigzag, I might add dots here the common mistake that students make when drawing stairs is that the death stairs, that zigzag line, and then also forgetting to draw the lines to the vanishing point on the inside. So the bottom of that L in the corner, that backwards L, since it's on this side. So pencil on the vanishing point, ruler touching your pencil, and then those lines, those dots that we made, you're gonna connect. Please remember, take your pencil back to the vanishing point. Another error that students make is they just move their ruler up like this. And you can see that this diagonal line would no longer connect to the vanishing point, which is down here. So get into the habit. I've been drawing in perspective for about 20 years, and I still put my pencil on the vanishing point and the ruler to make sure that it touches. Otherwise, what's supposed to be a technical drawing then becomes inaccurate. Pencil back on the vanishing point for this one last line. There we go. We'll add some shading and some details again as well later. Let's add a table on the floor and maybe a little detail in the ceiling, and I can show you in the rest of the video. I'll do some other details just so you know how to draw them. And also on the floor, we're going to draw lines that give the illusion of planks on the floor. So in order to do that is quite simple. We're going to start on this bottom line where the floor meets the back wall. Okay, so here is our floor back wall. This is the line I'm referring to right here. And what we need is equally spaced little marks. This is about 5 inches. I'm just going to make one mark every inch. So these are big boards on this floor. Okay, so I made 4 dots. You can probably guess where those lines need to connect to. So here's another common mistake that students make. So in this drawing, what they often will do, students will draw lines that go straight down. So what that looks like, let's say this is the trapezoid that is our floor, and we measured out our lines that are equal. And if they draw the lines straight down, what it ends up looking like, it will end up looking like that floor just drops off straight, like you couldn't be standing on it. So again, very important that those lines connect to the vanishing point. So pencil on it, ruler touch, connect your lines. Each one needs to, if you continued it out all the way, which you don't have to, you don't draw it onto the back wall because these are floor lines, needs to connect to the vanishing point. So we have these big, large, jumbo planks on the floor. Let's draw a table. We're gonna start with this front shape here. And this is a very modern table, very clean lines. So I'm just going to draw this kind of N shape, and I'm gonna keep it real angular. And then we'll just have to draw a few lines to connect. And you can see that the tabletop, which if you were staring down at the table, it would be a rectangle. However, from this angle and perspective, the top of the table is just a trapezoid. So I'm gonna make this table overlap the back wall. Just make a horizontal line. And then erase the lines that you overlap, and then you're ready to connect to the vanishing point. So a trapezoid. A more advanced version of drawing this table might be, well, what if I wanted the table to butt up to this back wall here? You could do that by determining first from this line where you would want you could draw the box up from there. So instead of drawing the front shape, you would draw the back shape against the back wall and then connect it out from there. It's a little bit more advanced perspective drawing. So we have the tabletop, and let's do the legs as well so they don't look paper thin. So I'm going to do these 2 lines here connecting to the vanishing point. Just a little bit so they look like legs, so they're not super, super long. And then a vertical line up to make it look like a leg. Now, we can place items on the ceiling perhaps. In this drawing, you can see how just a line up from the vanishing point can help you determine the placement in the middle. Speaking of finding the middle, let's say that this room ended here and here. If you wanted to draw an X across the ceiling, you could determine where the center of the ceiling is by where they intersect. So let's just say that maybe we have one pendant light in the middle of the room. So this is on the ceiling, this is where it attaches, and you could draw that line down and give yourself a little light bulb in there. So for the rest of this drawing, I'm going to add several different details, maybe some fixtures on the window, something in the windowsill, maybe something on the outside. So I'm going to show you some multiple examples at the end of this video that could just get your mind in going into the direction of how you would want to modify your drawing to make it more creative, more individual.